What's going on, guys? Matt from Addicted to Tools, and this video is a step-by-step production of how I build my bench. Look at it, looking pretty good, so let's get into it. So basically all I'm doing here is figuring out my measurements. All the measurements will be in the description, so make sure you check that out. All I've done is thrown the tabletop down, which you can see, and the two pieces of timber, which will be the side timbers. And I'm measuring between them to figure out the side timber, which I'll need to cut. And that's what I'm doing now. So you'll want to cut 6 of these. It'll be 3 for up the top and 3 for down the bottom. So now that I've cut all the pieces, I've thrown the tabletops down. As you can see, I've got 2 pieces. You may want to just use 1. And I'm throwing all the bits of timber on top of it, getting it into position and getting it all flush. So all I'm doing now is putting some timber glue on the pieces of timber where they're going to be joined, and I'm going to countersink them with a countersink and my drill. And I'm taking my impact driver and some 50mm screws and screwing them together. So now we're just repeating, but for the other side. So what I'm going to do here is basically measure up some new pieces of timber, and I'm going to cut the legs. I cut them to 825mm, and that's going to get me, I think it's 915mm high table with the caster wheels on. So make sure you take into account all the wheels and the top when you're making your height of the table. For the legs, I'm also using 2 pieces of the timber and butting them up into the corner, as you'll see later. I'm now measuring up the 2-meter length of timber, which will be the bottom part. You want to have a bit of an overhang on each side, just like the top. So just measure how much it is on the top parts and do the same on the bottom. That way the end pieces will sit flush. Then all you have to do is countersink your holes and put some more screws through into the legs. With the other timber pieces that we cut earlier, you're going to use them on the bottom, which is actually the top on the video. And if you have clamps, it's easiest to use them. Just countersink some more holes and then throw some screws through into the legs. As you can see, this is the finished frame. I forgot to film the center part, but I put an extra center piece of timber, which the tops will sit on. And later on, I actually put another center one on the bottom so that I can put a bottom shelf in. With the frame, a couple of the timbers were a little bit too high, only a couple of mils, but I just used a orbital sander to shave them down. So now we have the caster wheels. These I actually replace later on, but for now, these just get screwed in. All the caster wheels are basically the same. 4 screws straight through the timber. It's best to pre-drill them, just so you don't crack the timber. But just using the impact driver and a few screws, you can get this done. I'm then measuring the height of the caster wheels, so I can figure out the height of the axle for the other wheels. And once you've got that height, you know how high to drill the hole for the axle. With this axle, it comes with these brackets. So I just mount them and drill straight through it with a drill bit that will allow the axle to fit through. Then you can go ahead and throw the axle through the holes. Then you can throw the wheels on, and also the end pins, which will hold it all together. Grab your 1 meter by 800 top panels. You can throw them on top. I decided to put them in place with some clamps just so they didn't move and I could get them into the exact position so they're nice and flush. Then I just went around the whole table with the countersink and I grabbed my impact driver and the screws and basically punched them all through. Just to clean up the table a little bit, I grabbed my orbital sander and just sanded mainly around the middle. There's a tiny bit of difference in height and around all the holes as well, all the countersink holes, just to clean it up. So to just go through a couple of the tools I've used. This is a countersink. So that's what I've used. As you can see, all the screws are countersunk. They're sitting in there. Some people like to get them flush. I just want them to be underneath the timber. You can see that all the way around. So you can pick up this at any hardware store. They're not too expensive, but really good to have. Then obviously I had a couple of clamps to help me out. Just a couple of cheapies, these are the DeWatt ones. And screw wise, for these ones here on the side, because this is only 16mm deep, I only use 35s. I just use some chipboard screws. I like to use those on timber. And for these longer ones, I haven't got the packet, but I believe I use 50mm. So that's 35mm. And so 50's plenty. So timber wise, the dimensions of the tabletop is 800 wide. It is 1 meter long, and I've got 2 pieces. That's just because I didn't have roof racks at the time. So all up, it's 2 meters long. So 2 meters by 800 wide. So obviously these here, these bits of pine, they're 35 by 70. And that piece is 2 meters long. I'll put all this in the description. But the same on the side. Basically everything I use the same 35 by 70. And the width, this is 728mm. And the height of the legs is 825mm. So that is for a, so that's sitting 970 high. So I like that. That's give you a view. That's up to there on me. So I like this sort of height. So 970 high. And because this is a few weeks later after I finished it, I just threw, as you can see, just one more bit of timber there. That way I can just put a couple of extra planks there whenever I'm not using them. And I also used, I believe this is 8mm. Yeah, so this is 8mm timber. And I basically just did the same size. So 2 pieces at 1 meter and 800 wide. And then I just cut around the edges there. Did the same thing, countersink, a couple of screws. It's, I think I put another one in the bottom there. So that's good for a shelf, nice and lightweight. And I also changed all 4 wheels. As you can see, I've got some bigger caster wheels with the brakes on this end. I had the smaller ones. They were just too small and flimsy, so I've swapped them over. I've got some fixed ones here, but I think I might change them to the casters just to make it a bit better. But overall, it's really good. I'm happy with the size. So that's it. That's the full build of my workbench. If you've got any questions, definitely feel free to hit me up. Also like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Head over to my Instagram for other sort of content. I've got all sorts of stuff over there. Definitely click the notification bell. I've got a lot more stuff coming. I'm going to be trying to get out 2 videos a week if I can. And cheers for watching.